Hello, I'm Elise.
And I'm Meredith Tillotson. Welcome to Stratazine, your source for authentic, curated content for digital and social media professionals.
On today's show, we will be discussing how social media has impacted the job market. But first, to our question of the day. What percentage of employers say that social media has changed how they recruit candidates?
We'll share the answer at the end of this episode, but first, person on the street interviews.
We went out and asked BYU students how social media has changed the game in their jobs.
Hi guys. Today on Stratazine, we're going to ask students how social media has affected their job. Okay, how has social media affected your job?
That's a good question. Social media has evolved over time, and so I think, and it really kind of depends on the person too. But social media, it's honestly more of a distraction than anything. I think like it just getting those notifications while you're supposed to be like focused on work. I think, I think that's what I would say. It's more of a distraction than anything. Probably.
Well, I'm not currently employed right now,
Mhm.
but as a missionary, I used to use it a ton. So, that's good.
To be honest, not very much. I do like accountant work almost. So like the stuff that I'm working with has to be pretty confidential. So I don't think my firm is like social media, but maybe Alex has.
I'm a caregiver for a big system. And since I'm a caregiver, I don't recognize it, but I know that like a marketing team does a lot. It's like some to at least show their families like, oh, we went on this fun adventure. That's very
It hasn't really done much to it. I've been cleaning, so
Well, I guess no one uses social media in their jobs. Back to you. Social media has been changing the world, even by daily jobs, by opening new jobs that no one has ever heard of.
Brecken has been researching how to create a more positive image on social media for a future boss.
Today we're diving into the topic of how social media has affected employment. First, let's talk about the importance of social media. It's not just about funny content and endless scrolling, it's about creating a positive image for you or even a company or business. Social media jobs have started to dominate the job market. So how can you get experience to prepare for this career field in social media? First, be creative with the content you create. Look for trends to participate in or visuals that make you stand out among other social media platforms. Engage actively on social media so businesses can see your platform and recognize your styles. Apply for jobs as a social media specialist or content creator. These are great ways that you can get experience and improve your skills. Have a basic understanding of public relations and the importance of putting an appropriate image of the company you're representing online. Many employment opportunities include managing a brand or organization's online reputation. And finally, make sure that you build up a portfolio with your unique content. Having this on hand will be helpful when jumping into the career world of social media. Many employers are seeking a better understanding of your experience and skills and will ask for examples of your content. For additional information and references to the sources used in the video, check out the show notes and the attributions at the end of this podcast. Reporting for Stratazine, I'm Brecken Dunn.
Now that we know how to network through social media.
Recently, I spoke with James Rognon, a professor at BYU Idaho, about how social media has changed the job market. Hi, this is Meredith, and I'm here with James Rognon, a professor at BYU Idaho for social media. And the first question for you today is, how has social media made it easier or harder to get jobs, and why?
Awesome. This is an interesting topic, and I think it opens up. There's a lot of things that we could talk about this. I've been teaching at BYU Idaho for probably around 9 years now, and I noticed that there was a large impact way before I came. So ever since basically the beginning when Facebook, right, MySpace even coming out, they impacted jobs as in employers are looking at people's like applicants. They're looking at their social media profiles. And if it's public, it's totally legal. What you put out there is something that a lot of employers are going to look for. And so, they're looking for fit, vibe, all that kind of stuff. So that's one way that it's impacted jobs. The other way that I've seen it impact jobs. So I used to work at Cabela's, and our director of social media actually we hired him because of his experience and the amount of followers that he has on social media. So do you know Cabela's?
Yeah.
Yeah, known for hunting, fishing, that kind of stuff. They really wanted to enter more into a space of like hiking, and something interesting that they did is they had a bunch of applicants for the director of social media, and then they found someone that had, I think it was like at the time 30,000 followers, which was pretty decent, but in the specific niche of hiking and camping, less like the hunting and fishing side of things. So they brought him on board because of his personal brand and the experience that he had. And so nowadays you're starting to see that a lot more as well within like the job market. And this is just in general, like, do you have your own brand? Do you have what you're known for, and those kinds of things, right? If we're looking for specifically social media jobs, social media jobs have definitely changed since 20 years ago, kind of when they first started being talked about more. Back then, it was a lot of like, let's focus on how do we take traditional advertising and distribution of ads, and we're going to just use social media to distribute ads to the masses, right? It's interesting. Question for you: Do you have cable?
No.
Like, no. And I think most people nowadays actually have killed like cable and other things like that, because we have streaming services that allows us to watch the content when we want to watch it without a lot of interruption with ads, right? And so that shift in the social media job market has also reflected that, where it's less about necessarily individual, like taking traditional advertising and like applying that to social media, but it's more content creation. It's more about like having a conversation. Even public relations has a lot to do with like social media side of things. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Okay. How has social media influenced the current job market?
So, so you're talking about like how platforms,
Yeah.
how the different platforms, like, because platforms have been coming and going for some time. And the focus has also, like, a couple years ago, before Instagram really got super popular, Snapchat was there. I would even say before that was around the same time as Instagram, TikTok, right? TikTok, before that has come to where it's at now. We had Snapchat, we had some other platforms. Ultimately, though, like, to me, the job market, the principles, the basics of like creating good content, looking at value, that has relatively stayed the same. It's the daily tactics and like, do we use hashtags? Do we not use hashtags? Having that knowledge is key to getting like jobs or being up to date is going to be the biggest thing that most employers are going to be looking for. And then now with the surgence of AI, how is that affecting workflow? How is that affecting content? A lot of people are really going into like, let's use it like crazy for content. And I think there's going to be a little bit of a backlash with that kind of stuff. It's not going to 100% just take over. Like, I think we'll see that with like personalities, they're not going to use social media or AI content to represent themselves. It's going to be more about authenticity. So understanding an audience, understanding like the purpose of that kind of stuff. So that's how I see it affecting jobs is, are you up to date? Are you knowledgeable what's going on, how things are changing and adapting, and being able to show that you've adapted with that?
Okay, and then should all professionals be on social media? Why or why not? And then also, like, if they are, should it be public or it's better to be private accounts?
So if you're going into social media, you need to be on social. And I would recommend not to have it as a private account. You might have a account that's private, that's meant for just family and friends, but ultimately, your brand reputation is going to be key. Even to the point where now, if you're using LinkedIn to like do job searching, LinkedIn will not actually recommend you as you're applying for stuff. They won't recommend your profile if you're not active on LinkedIn, if you're not engaging, if you're not posting. All of that kind of stuff is going into the kind of that vibe. And I would even say some employers are actually relying on social media like profiles to determine whether or not they want to like hire someone. And in fact, they might be going to that more than they're necessarily going and looking up a resume. And so I think a lot of people need to be on social media. It's always going to depend on like what industry, what area, what category, like what are your job functions. Like that's going to change things, but I think it can be pretty helpful.
All right. Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Race will now talk about statistics on social media platforms.
Hi, I'm Race McCune. For today's industry news segment, we're going to dive into a recently published study on social media careers. SHRM is the National Society for Human Resource Management. Last February, they posted an article about how social media is shaping careers. 3 of the most important stats are that 46% of Gen Z has secured a job or internship through TikTok. They also found that Instagram is far more popular than traditional tools like LinkedIn for career-related content and networking. 95% of Gen Z evaluates a company's social media presence before applying for a job. So, as you can see, social media has affected every aspect of finding a career, even for traditional fields. Thank you.
Our tips and tools for this week is talking about how to turn your Instagram into a creator's account.
Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Strategy and Tips and Tools segment. Today, I'll be showing you Instagram's creator accounts and how they can be used to better your business and just make a little extra money on the side. Instagram has a very specific setting where you can become a social media content creator and help advocate for your brand while making a little bit of money on the side. This gives you more features and enables you to be more professional in time. Remember, you can do this with a business account or your personal account. Remember that this makes some changes within your own personal account. So there you go. First, you log in on a computer or your phone and have an account at the ready. I'll show you with this account, which is my own, which I'm going to be deleting here pretty soon. First, you go to your profile and then you click on settings underneath more. Then you scroll down to the very bottom until you find account type and tools. Press on that and you connect to switch to professional account. Then you go to press creator. Once there, you just simply follow the steps extra. And I'll simply say personal blog. I will also say family history because my family, I've done that, but you could definitely do that as well. And those are just the main things that I would do. And then you press done. And then you press continue. And boom, there you go. Once you finish that, you can go on from there. Remember, just like YouTube, you need to stay posting about it to make some money off of it. And thanks for sticking around, guys. Please stay tuned for more tips and tools in the next episodes. Back to you, hosts.
Back to the question of the day. What percentage of employers say that social media has changed how they recruit candidates?
According to the career portal, more than 70% of candidates are getting screened on their social media for the hiring process, and 43% of bosses look at their employer's social media. Thanks for joining us today on Stratazine.
You can find all the links and attributions to everything from the show's podcast in the credits of today's notes. Have a great day.